Welcome back to the channel. So here I have an older article pulled up from Light Reading from Mike, and I will leave it in the description down below in case you guys want to check it out. So last night I had an interesting conversation, very brief, with the Tech Extremist, and I'll leave his a link to his channel in the description down below. And we were kind of going back and forth briefly, and we kind of both asked a question at some point of the conversation: that is fixed wireless access worth it for T-Mobile? That's what we both asked each other, because currently T-Mobile is using the extra capacity model. So they're loading up the network, and they have control as to how many people they allow per sector, and they're loading that up. And then now they're making additional revenue stream, and it might be looking good on the balance sheet. But in the future, once you break it all down as to where this is going, how much profit is T-Mobile really going to make? They have to pay for additional routers, and that's why I pulled up this article, because there's clearly demand for this product, as to why T-Mobile had to bring on another OEM. Right? This time around, they brought Arcadian on board, and this is back from April. So now they have 3 different OEMs supplying for the demand. There is incredible demand for this product. So then T-Mobile pays for that. That cost is not pushed onto the customer. So T-Mobile has to front from the OpEx, their operations cost, and they have to pay for these orders. And at times, I'm told there's a lot of pressure being put on the operations cost, because there's such high demand that T-Mobile just go ahead and make like double the orders so they have enough in stock. So that's one part, right? That cuts into the profit. And then the second one is the usage itself. There is still a network that is providing the services. It's not a direct fiber connection to the house. This is a product where the router is using Spectrum resources over the wireless network. So as those usage patterns potentially increase, because T-Mobile doesn't know the effects long term, right? They give the customer the router, and then the customer tends to, in the future, depending, right, they tend to increase the usage on the network. As they first get the router, they just, maybe they hook up a TV, video game system, a couple of other TVs, laptops. But then in the future, they themselves increase the usage. They get a smart refrigerator. They get another TV, maybe another gaming system, another laptop. T-Mobile can't control that. That's up to the user, right? And as more devices get connected to the gateway, that's more usage the network has to handle. So now T-Mobile has to look at it, okay, we have to invest billions more capital to keep the network performing great for both users, for mobile and fixed wireless access. How that is separated in the system, I haven't figured that out yet. I'll keep speaking with the engineer, but I am quite positive that in the system, the T-Mobile engineers are able to see what is significantly bringing down the speed and the performance of the sector. And 9 times out of 10, depending on how many users, it's going to be fixed wireless access, because that usage is just enormously more than anything that a mobile user uses today. Especially as that same mobile user, potentially, if he's on T-Mobile, goes inside their house, right? They're really not offloading. They just go from the 5G connection to another 5G connection that's coming through Wi-Fi. So they don't offload from the network. They stay on the network. They just go from the tower side to the gateway. So that is constant usage that T-Mobile has to handle. And in the future, if they want this product to remain successful, if they want churn to remain relatively low, right? I said it in a previous video. If they're going to churn at cable, then they might as well not even they might as well not even offer this product. And the reason I say that is because if you look at it from a grand scale, T-Mobile is not offering it to every single person in the neighborhood. So if it's only 33 people, for example, out of 200 houses, and they churn at the rate of cable, then it's a failure. It's a failure. That means more people are leaving than are actually staying and joining. So T-Mobile has to look at effective ways on how to monetize this product, make it profitable, while also still maintaining the same excellent network performance that, customers are used to. And you can see that it's there because the churn is relatively low on the wireless side. But keep in mind, like I said, this fixed wireless access usage is completely different. It's a whole nother animal. Trust me. So what me and the tech extremists were talking about is that probably in the midterm, T-Mobile is likely to raise prices on this fixed wireless access. It's going to come. And then same goes for Verizon, but I'll talk about that in another video. So what we were thinking is probably around the $80 price point if you are not a T-Mobile wireless customer. And then if you do bundle it with wireless for new customers, you get the $50 price point. That's what I'm thinking. And I think, T-Mobile being who they are, anyone that is currently already on the product, they get grandfathered in on the pricing that they have. And it just makes sense because as that usage increases, it pulls so much from the network that T-Mobile has to likely do a separate allocated networking capital plan just for fixed wireless access. I do think at some point they have to do it if they want to keep up with the usage of the product, if they want to keep the churn relatively low. If you are familiar with the churn rates, fiber has the lowest churn in the industry, much lower than cable. So once you make that initial investment on fiber to the home, that's pretty much it, right? That usage is going to be great, the lowest churn, and then you just make profit every day after, you initially laid the fiber. With fixed wireless access, that's just not going to be the case. You're going to have to constantly tweak. You're going to have to constantly monitor. You're going to have to constantly, put in at some point, there's going to have to be network slicing, a QoS, to make sure that both parties at some point, talking mobile and fixed wireless, have a respectable experience on either side. Not this whole priority thing. That's just not going to work because you never know how much mobile usage you're taking on in the core at any given time. And then if the fixed wireless access customer buffers during that time and then it works again shortly after, that's not a commendable experience. It's a bad experience. So that churn is going to spike on fixed wireless access due to the fact on how it's implemented, right? In the future, I do think they're going to adjust. They're learning. But like me and the tech extremists were saying, prices will likely have to go up to make in, a respectable amount of profit and revenue. And they're going to have to keep investing capital dollars back into the network to keep the network flowing without any bigger issues. If they keep the network the same the way it is now, and they're adding in these fixed wireless access customers that are increasing their usage, because remember, like I said, T-Mobile doesn't have control. The customer adds another Xbox, they add another laptop, that's all added usage onto the network that T-Mobile did not account for. So, they have to invest or else the churn is going to spike. And then, like I said, it makes no sense to offer the product because it's not, if you have 200 customers in the neighborhood and your churn is at cable's rate, then okay. That's kind of give or take. But if you only have, out of 200 houses, you only have 30 on your product and they're churning at cable, I mean, it's kind of a waste in my opinion. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. I know this can get a bit tricky because it is, different usage patterns, but I think T-Mobile is learning and I hope they make these, right adjustments. I do think a price increase is needed to make the revenue and the profit that makes it respectable for T-Mobile to actually report that at earnings. And I do think they have to reinvest separate capital allocation for this usage. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel, like, share, subscribe, follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.